Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And recently, Red just shared a huge announcement that shook the entire cinema world. They dropped the price considerably on their Komodo and Komodo-X cinema cameras. I want to talk to you today about why that's such a big deal. Let's get to it. Now, before I share my opinion on why I believe this is such a big deal, I want to talk about me and Red and the Komodo-X in particular. As many of you know, I have been really diving deep into filmmaking and video production. I have a lot of the content on this YouTube channel. I also have another YouTube channel called Day One Films, where I showcase my short films and commercial projects on there. With all that said, up until this point, I've been using the Panasonic Lumix cameras. I love the color science. I love all the features that comes packed into their mirrorless cameras. They're great, easy, and the menus are great to work with, and the stabilization is phenomenal for handheld. But with that said, of course, like many of you out there, we're always looking to level up our game. And one thing for me is I wanted to really get a professional grade cinema camera that I can make serious film projects and commercial projects with. And since I've been a hardcore Nikon still photography shooter for a long time, you know, I was really excited when they acquired Red just a few months ago. And I was extremely excited and got me even more interested in getting into the Red system. Now, my only drawback is that they are still RF mount. I wish to God they would just open up the mount ASAP and at least put the Z mount in there, and then I would be probably buying the camera much faster. But today, don't worry, let's take a look at some of the features of why the Komodo-X is a phenomenal camera compared to, let's say, the Z9, Z8, or even some of the Lumix cameras that I'm used to using. Let's check it out. Now, before we get into the reason why I believe this announcement is a big deal from Red, first, let's go over some of the key features of the Komodo-X and what makes this cinema camera truly stand out. So I've written down a couple of notes here on my iPhone about the Komodo-X, and I'm going to be really emphasizing the Komodo-X today because that's the camera that I am really excited for this announcement and that I've been looking at even before this announcement. So let's get to it. First of all, the Komodo-X is a super 35mm global shutter sensor camera. It has open gate, so that's amazing, and it does up to 560 megabits per second. That is extremely impressive. I absolutely love that for sure, for filmmaking in particular, or if you're doing commercial work. Now, it does filming in RAW using its Red codec, so it's Red RAW files up to 6K, up to 80 frames a second. So that's phenomenal. Variable frame rate. And that's really great because I really enjoy using that when I use my Lumix cameras, and I love the way they do it really well. Of course, slow motion capability up to, I believe, 240 frames a second, and then has numerous aspect ratios, which I would assume. We all know about how amazing the Red color science is when it comes to pushing and pulling the colors. Part of it is the fact that it can do 16-bit video, as well as I mentioned earlier, up to 560 megabits a second. So that's really part of the reason why, and the Red RAW color files that give you that ability to push and pull colors and get that cinematic look you want right out of the camera. Aside from that, it does support anamorphic lenses and has a dynamic range of 16.5 stops, which is what I would assume, just being that, well, I think most cameras that I've used are roughly around there, S1H, Z9, Z8, etc. It does in-camera proxies, which are phenomenal because if you are recording 6K, 80 frames a second, or using Red RAW files or anything like that, you are going to take some time to create proxy files later on. So for it to be able to do so in camera is going to save you tons of time in post-production. And also, I like its compact modular size. That's another key feature that I've grown to appreciate when I was looking at different cinema camera options options out there, and having that nice little box kind of a design means you can really customize your rig to the style of shooting you like doing, or that your scene is set for doing. And now, of course, it's the price, right? So right now, it is at $69.95. Used to be at $99.95, and they just dropped $300 off permanently off the top. Their reasoning is that they want to get Red cameras in more hands out there. I think this is an incredibly smart move by them, and I think it's really heavily influenced by Nikon, because Nikon is a company that has camera systems and every economic level for any photo creator out there, or video creator, excuse me. And so therefore they are very synonymous for making their brand very accessible. Since now Nikon has taken over Red, it's no surprise that now they are implementing similar strategies in order to get Red camera into more cinematographers' hands. Now, for me, in the past, Red was a camera I've always wanted, but of course the price range just kept me forever even considering getting into Red system. Now, granted that the Komodo-X was just $10,000, and I say just because I bought the Z9 and that was at $5,500, but even that gap right there was large enough to keep me away from Red, but always wishing to want to get it. But now at $7,000, that $5,500 to $7,000, that really isn't a large jump, and that much more to save up in order for me to get into the Red camera system. Now, me personally, I'm doing a lot more commercial work and specifically film work. I definitely want to level up my cinema game, and I think a camera like this is going to be able to produce the style, or not just the style, but the quality of images that that some of my other cameras can get, but not quite there. And I think the Red camera system is going to be that for me at this price point. It's almost a no-brainer. So again, I give a big shout out to Nikon for making this decision, and for Red for producing such great quality cameras that people like me, who was just right on the edge, now ready to pull the trigger and getting a Red. For me, the Komodo-X, I think, is going to be the perfect cinema camera for me, because it has a global shutter, 6K, 80 frames a second, 560 millibits a second. What else is there? 16-bit video, the Red RAW codec. Like I want all that specific things. I wish it had, of course, phase detect autofocus, but it has contrast detect, so that's the only thing. But let's be honest, as cinematographers, we're more than likely going to be filming manual anyway, so that's not really a huge deal, but it would have been nice to have. And I also wish that they didn't just have RF mount, so I'm hoping in the future they open up that mount at least to Z mount, or at least a PL mount. That would be great. The PL mount, I think, would be phenomenal, because then everybody can get an adapter to fit their lenses that they already own, and then thus being that much more comfortable buying into Red systems. If it's a RF, and if you don't have RF glasses, which are synonymous for quality, but they are pretty expensive, there's that slight hesitation keeping a few people away. Me, I'd like to buy a camera system, maybe $200 more for an adapter, and then I don't have to buy any more lenses. I'm that much more apt to buy that camera. So anyway, these are just a few of the reasons why I believe this is a phenomenal news breaking announcement by Red as well as Nikon. What do you think about the new price? Does the Red camera, specifically the Komodo and Komodo-X, look that much more tempting to you? Is it still out of your price range, or do you just not care? Either way, post your comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more, don't forget to press that like, that share, that subscribe, and you already know, hit that bell icon to get notifications for my upcoming content. I'm Robert Silver, and until next time, keep shooting and stay creative.